All right, this is Mr. Wyrick. I'm coming to you live from shaky cam, standing here in my kitchen. So here goes on this. If it says find the vertex, remember from standard form that's negative b over 2a to get the first part. So on this, it's a negative 6, or positive 6 over 2 times 4, which is 8. So that's 3/4 for the x part of my vertex. On this one, it's a negative 3, so positive 3 over 2 times -1, so that's -2, equals a -3/2, or a -1.5. On this one, it's a negative 8, so a positive 8 over 2 times 2, which is 4, which means my vertex is at 2. Okay, for each one of these, to get the second part of the vertex, you just put it in. 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16, so 8 minus 16 is a -8 plus 5 gives me a -3 here. The -3/2 squared is 9 over 4, and it's positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. Then we put the negative, so it's -9 over 4 minus 9 over 2. And when we multiply this here, so that would be 18 over 4. So 9 over 4 minus, or -9 over 4 minus 18 over 4 gives us a -27 over 4. And then we're going to add 4 to that. 4 times 4 is 16, so that's 16 over 4. We have a -9/4 for the other part. On this one, we have 3/4. We put that back in. 3/4 squared is 9 over 16 times 4 would be 36 over 16, which is going to reduce. They're both divisible by 4. It's 9 over 4. And then this would be 18 over 4, so minus 18 over 4, which is a -9 over 4, and then we subtract 3 more. That'd be minus 12 over 4. So that'd be minus 21 over 4. If you're doing decimals, that's fine. That's a -5.25. On the second one, the -9/4 is a -2.25, and that's perfectly acceptable. Just remember that if you get thirds and ninths, those repeating decimals, it's not going to work very well. On these, the y-intercept, since it's in standard form, is just the last one, 0, 8. For this one, 0, -10 here, and 0, 9 here. It's just that C value. Hopefully you got that on the formula chart video. The axis of symmetry is just the -b over 2a, and we stop. It's the x value of my vertex. So that'd be 6 over 2, which is 3 for the axis of symmetry. X equals 3. On this one, a positive 3 over 2. And on this one, a -3 over a -4. So 3/4. X is equal to. It's where my vertex is, the axis of symmetry. On the bottom, a maximum or minimum value, that's going to be the vertex. And specifically on the test where it's looking at the multiple choice, it's looking for just the y value there at the vertex. If my a is positive, it's going to be a minimum value because this opens upward. This one's positive, so it's going to be a minimum value. This one's negative, it's going to be a max value because it opens downward. This one's also negative, it's going to be a max value. I won't bore you by sitting there trying to find those. If it's talking to you about finding the graph that matches it, this one in the middle is the only one that's negative. No, sorry, these two are negative. This one's positive right here. So on 14, that has to be B because it's the only one that opens upward. Make smart decisions about that. It's going to give you 50-50 on a multiple choice test like that. On this one, a -x minus 4x plus 1, a -1/2 x squared minus 2x plus 1. If we look, both of them have the vertices at a -2. So I can just put in a -2 and see what comes out of either one of them. A -2 here would be 4. That'd be a -4 plus 8, which would be 4 plus 1 is 5. So this one has a vertex at 5, which is here. So this one is C, and this one is A. Okay? Do something simple. This is a parabola. It's a quadratic equation. That's what we've been talking about anyway. It's going to be H. Find the focus and directrix. Remember, focus is we find the vertex, the -b over 2a. So 4 over -4 is -1. We put that -1 back in. -1 squared is 1 times -2 is -2. -1 times -4 is +4, and then +5. If I'm going too fast, back it up, slow it down, pause it, take a look at what's happening, see if you can figure it out. But 4 minus 2 is going to give me 2, plus 5 gives me 7. Okay? That's not the focus or the directrix. But for my focus, it's still going to be at -1. But since this one opens downward, okay, I've got this. It's 1 over 4 times a -2 because the -2 is A. So that's a -1/8 that I am adding to this. So it's going to give me 6 7/8. All right? So that's my focus. My directrix, in this case, I take this and I go the opposite direction, 1/8. So it's y equals 7 1/8. Because all the points on the parabola are equidistant from the focus and the directrix. Same thing over here. -6 is a +6 over 2a, so it's at 3. That'd be 9 minus 18, which is a -9, plus 8 is a -1. So I'm going to add 1/4 because the a is 1, so that'd be a -3/4, 3 comma -3/4 for my focus. My directrix then would be y is equal to a -1 1/4. I'm going the opposite direction, the same amount. On the back of this, if you're writing it in vertex form, I'm just going to do one of them real quick, just to show you what's going on. Actually, no, I'll do 2. A -8 over 2 times -2, that's a -4. So that gives me a vertex of 2, comma. I put a 2 in here. 2 squared is 4 times -2 is -8. 2 times 8 is 16, so -8 plus 16 gives me 8, minus 3 is 5. So 2, 5 is my vertex. My a stays the same, and then it's x minus 2, because that's a +2, squared, plus 5. On this one, if I want to complete the square, here's my x squared. I have 4 x's, so I put 2 to a side, and then I've got 6 to fill this in. It only takes 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 2 1 blocks left over on the outside. There's 2 here, so that's x plus 2 squared plus 2. My vertex is at -2, comma 2. All right? Vertex form. Just check a point. If you can't figure anything else out, like put some point in there that's not your vertex and test it in the other version. You should be able to work this out, okay? Which function is shown in the graph below? It has to be negative. It has to open downward. So A and C are out. There's ones like this on the test. Then I got to find the vertex. It's -6. Since it's x minus h, and that's going to be x minus a -6 in there, that's going to be written as x plus 6 squared. So now that I know it's negative and it's x plus 6, there I go. I didn't have to do any other calculation. Which equation represents a graph? It opens upward. Bye-bye negative options. Not needed. Okay? I don't worry about the 2 now. This is going to be x minus the 6 because it's minus h. And then it would be minus 8. So -6 minus 8 is option C. If you have any other questions on this, you can't figure it out, you got something you need to say about, oh, these come out as fractions and I can't use a calculator. You can use a calculator. It has to be a scientific calculator, not the graphing ones. I'll see if I can scrounge some more up in the morning, but other than that, you should have one hanging around your house to do basic calculations. Good luck on the test.